All right. Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. First off, welcome to the webinar, and thank you for joining us to learn more about Orchid's newest flood market, Neptune Flood. My name is Jason Wesley, and I'm here with Orchid Insurance. I also have here with me Will Grodman from Neptune Flood. Will is going to be taking us through Neptune's quoting portal, showing us how easy it is to get a quote. Throughout the webinar, we will be pausing to answer any questions. So if you have a question, please use the GoToWebinar questions pane, and we'll be sure to address it. Let's go ahead and get started. First, I'm going to show you how to access the Neptune Flood quoting portal, and then I'll hand it off to Will to walk you through the rest of the process. He'll also show you the other features of the portal, such as accessing documents. So let's share the screen with you guys. Perfect. All right, so on my screen right now, you're looking at the Orchid Connect login page. All right, and this is how you're going to access Neptune Flood's quoting portal. So we're going to log in. And then once you're logged in, you're going to go to the Connect homepage here. So depending on your role in the business, you're going to have a personal lines and commercial lines option. Neptune Flood is a private primary personal lines flood solution. So we're going to head over to personal lines. And we're going to click there. And as those tiles populate, you're going to see on the right side of the screen, there's going to be a couple options. A new one has popped up. As of yesterday, we are live with Neptune, so we have a private primary flood button here right below their logo. Once you logged in Connect, you're all set to go, so you can immediately click on that, and what will happen is we'll open a new tab that will take you to what they call their Neptune agency portal. Now, one thing I do want to mention with that, depending on the browser you use, I know for me, when I use Chrome, I had no problems opening up the tab. Depending on what you use, especially with Internet Explorer, you might get a little window that pops up at the bottom here asking you, your pop-up blocker might have some issues. So if that's the case, you just need to make sure that you allow pop-ups from our system, and then we'll open up into here. And then from here, you get started on the quoting process, and that's easy. That's all there is to it to access it. And so now I'm just going to hand it off to Will, and he'll take you through from there. I'm going to share Will's screen here. Excellent. All right, take it away, Will.
All right, thanks everyone for being with us today. I will again be taking you through the Neptune agency portal. So I'll show you how we quote and bind a policy in 3 minutes. It'll probably be the quoting portal will probably take 15 to 20 minutes today just because it's a bit granular. We'll go through every single question, and then we'll go through the agency management system as well, showing you how to service policies and things like that. So the first thing you're going to do, your screen is going to pop up after you access it through Orchid, just like so. You're going to type out an address. Just like this, and you're going to see that there's going to be multiple addresses that drop down. So you can either choose one of these, click the address, then click New Quotes. It's going to search for the quote. It calls out to our data warehouse, finds the address. So the address is going to pop up just like so. You can look at the property using one of these Google Maps or Zillow buttons. It's going to pop up just like this. And then the property is going to pull up just like this. So you can look at the property, view some property details on it, see like the construction type, foundation type, things like that. So we'll come back to that. But I'm going to go back to our portal now, and you see here that you can view the quote number. It'll have first thing. It'll also have the address for what we're quoting. So this is address of 10,001 Treetops Lake Road. Again, you could use the Google Maps or Zillow button. Show the policy status, showing that it's not bound yet, and then the effective date. So Neptune, we only have a 10-day waiting period compared to the NFIP, which is a 30-day waiting period. So much quicker than the NFIP to get coverage. You can also have immediate closing if you just click this immediate closing button, which you could have coverage as early as today. If it is for home closing, you would need to upload a trailing doc into the policy admin system. If it was for a home closing and you did bind the policy, we would require a trailing doc showing proof of closing. If not, again, it's only a 10-day waiting period, still 20 days less than what the NFIP offers. So mark it as 9-8, and we'll move on to the next question asking about eligibility. So first thing you're going to see is ask, is this a manufactured or a mobile home? So if it's manufactured or mobile, we're not going to be able to write it. So if you were to click yes on this, a red error screen would pop up, and it's going to show we are unable to insure this type of property. If you click no, not going to be an issue. We'll be able to move on to the next question asking about any flood claims. Now, if there's been any flood claims, then we're not going to be able to insure the property. If there were, and you click yes, it's going to ask you if there's one claim and it's less than $25,000, we would be able to insure it. If it's only one flood claim less than $25,000, there's one flood claim over $25,000 or more than one flood claim, then we would not be able to insure the property. This property has had no flood claims, so I'm just going to click no on this, and I'm going to move on to the next question asking about property information. So this is a year-built home of 2004. So that's already pulled from one of our data warehouses. Let's say that was incorrect. You could change this, but I'd say it's very rare for that to be incorrect. It is getting pulled, but if needed to be changed, it could. Flood zone, this is a flood zone X property. I'd say this is for flood zone, it's accurate about 98% of the time. Only times it's going to have any issues or pull any inaccuracies is if it's a split zone home in some cases. Let's say it's a split zone between an X flood zone and an AE, and we're pinpointing the property at X. We do allow you to change it from a low risk to a high risk. So for example, you could go from an X zone to an AE zone, or you could go from an A to a B, but you wouldn't be able to go the opposite direction. So you couldn't go from an A to an X without underwriter approval. Construction, this is a wood frame home. So I'm just going to mark it as wood frame. And you also see I did skip over this question. You could easily skip over if you miss it right here, where it asks, I want to upload an EC. Now with Neptune Flood, another great feature about us, we don't need an elevation certificate to quote any property. I'd say an EC may help, maybe about 10 to 15% of the time. So if you do have one, might as well give it a shot. There's no harm. It will never increase the rate. It can only help in decreasing it, again, about 10 to 15% of the time. If you do use one, there's two things I need to point out. We're only looking for item C2E on the EC, which would be the lowest elevation of machinery or servicing equipment. You would just type that number in here. And if you already use it and bind the policy, we would require the elevation certificate as a trailing doc in our policy admin system after you bind it. So I'm going to click as I do not have an EC. And then I'm going to move on to the next question asking about construction. Now, this is a wood frame home. We also, again, this is a wood frame home, so I'll keep it marked as so. Residency, this is a primary home. If it was a secondary or rental, there is no fee. I know with the NFIP, there's a $250 secondary, $250 fee if it's a rental or secondary. With Neptune, the premium isn't going to change. So if I was just to click on secondary, the premium is going to remain the same right here. It's not going to change at all. Rental is the owner fee, no change in premium. Again, with the NFIP, there is a $250 fee. Actually worked with an agent a few weeks ago. He had 10 rental properties he had to insure for one of his clients. So the agent was able to do that, save his insured $2,500 right off the bat with that question. So it is a great option for rentals and secondary homes compared to what the NFIP is offering. Foundation, this is a home on a slab. It depends on what foundation you have, but there could be different questions underneath. If it's a home on stilts or piling, it's going to ask if they're open or with a solid enclosure. If it's a home with a basement, it's going to ask if it's unfinished or a finished basement. And then home over garage is going to ask if it's an unfinished garage or finished with utilities. Now, this is a home with a basement, or I'm sorry, this is a home on a slab. So this question is going to pop up asking about stairs leading to the front door. I'm going to go back to our property that we pulled up earlier from Google Maps. And it looks like there's one step right there leading to the front entry of the home. So I'm going to go back here, enter one step. Now this is, again, for homes, stairs leading to the front door. This can increase elevation, which could therefore lower premium. So for example, I had an agent come in a few weeks ago, he sent me over a quote, said, Will, can you take a look at this? It was an AE flood zone home. The rate was $2,000. I took a look at it. There's 5 steps actually leading to the front entry of the home, but he skipped this question. So I entered 5 in. The rate went down from $2,000 to $1,400. So he was able to save $600 just with entering the number 5 because of how many stairs were leading to the front entry of the home. So that can increase elevation, which could therefore lower the premium of the property. So this, again, as one step, we're already at a minimum premium for this, so it's not going to affect this one. But again, this can help out in many situations. So if it is a home on a slab, please make sure to pay attention to the stairs leading to the front door. Next question is going to ask, the number of stories. So you're just going to have to put the number of stories here. So I have this option right here. It's going to ask stairs leading to the front door, which is 1. Occupancy, it's single family home. And then the number of stories is 1. We don't need to put a unit number in here. Building number is, and then we could go on to the next question asking about the dwelling and contents coverage. So for building, we go up to $2 million for the dwelling, and contents, we go up to $500,000 as well. So we can adjust that just by sliding left or right, increasing coverage just like so. It actually updates every second. Every question you do, it's going to blur out and blur back in with a different rate. So if I wanted to insure this one for $550,000, it would change just like so. You could click where you want to go to as well on the slider button, or you could type a number in as well. Either way is going to work. $250,000 right here. Content is $100,000. Optional coverages, or for contents, we go up to $500,000. Building again goes up to $2 million, so that's much higher than the NFIP, where they go up to $250,000 for the dwelling and $100,000 for contents. Now for some optional coverages, we have unattached structures, which goes up to $50,000, and pool repair and refill, which goes up to $10,000. Unattached structures, so if, let's say you had a detached garage or some living space, a granny flat, things like that, we would be able to insure. Again, you can insure those unattached structures up to $50,000. Sometimes people ask me, what about docks and decks and seawalls and things like that? Would we be able to insure that under unattached structures? That answer is no. We would not be able to insure seawalls, decks, or docks. Pool repair and refill, let's say a flood was to occur, your pool is damaged, there's a lot of debris to get into it, or damaged structure of the pool. We can insure the structure of the pool for up to $10,000 repaired and refill it with this coverage here. Now you have options for a few other optional coverages like replacement costs on contents and temporary living expense. You could add those on just by clicking yes and yes. So boom, boom, I could add both of these on just like so. Wouldn't even go up $100 for both of these coverages. So I have now $250,000 on the dwelling, $100,000 on contents, replacement costs on contents added on, and temporary living expense added on. All things can be added on, again, rate of only $555.98 for all that coverage. Now deductible, we could go anywhere between $1,000 to $2,000. $2,000 is our standard deductible, so it's going to have a neutral rating factor. If I go higher, the premium is going to lower. So if I chose a $5,000 deductible, premium would go to $519, or if I went to $10,000, the premium would go to probably somewhere in the 400s, or it's likely to go to 481.36. And if I went higher, if I wanted to go with a $1,000 deductible, it would increase the premium as well. So now we're done with all the rating questions. We're on to the final part, which is just entering insured's information. So I'm just going to enter the insured's first name and last name, which insured first name and last name, just like so. Email, make sure you put the correct email on here, because when you do bind the policy and you click the bind button, a DocuSign email with the application is being sent out to the insured for them to sign. Entered my phone number here as well. The phone number is, so you will also need that. That's also a required field. This for a required field. You can also enter co-applicant if needed. Billing, you could choose if you want to bill the insured or the mortgagee lien holder. It is direct bill. We give a 30-day grace period for all payments. and it's one annual payment. We don't do multiple payments. Next question is going to ask about payment method. We have options for ACH, credit card, and check. ACH is preferred as it's fast. It's also free. Credit card, we do take all major credit cards, but there is a processing fee. I'd say it averages about 2.5%. And then lenders, sometimes we see them mail in checks as well. The invoice will generate as soon as you bind the policy. Delivery method, you have the option for electronically or print. If you choose electronically, the full policy jacket will generate into the policy admin system. If you choose print, it is just mailed out to the insured for them to sign their part of the application. Next question is going to ask, is this mailing address the same as your property? If no, just click no. You can edit the mailing address right here. We also give you the option to add up to 3 lien holders just by clicking this button right here. Then you can print the quote or bind the policy. So if I click print quote, the quote will pop up on a new screen. Make sure your pop-up blocker is off, and it'll have the quote, which you can send out to the insured with all the property details and coverage details. Then on the second page, we have bigger waters language, which is we satisfy the mandatory purchase requirement of private flood, pretty much showing that we mirror the NFIP. Only thing we're doing differently is we offer greater and broader coverage. Now, we're finished with the quoting portal. Now, does anyone have any questions on the quoting portal before we move over to the policy management system?
All right, thank you, Will, so far. We do have one question come in. If a home has a replacement cost of more than $2 million, is it still eligible, or is it for dwellings $2 million and less?
So over $250,000. So this is just secondary and rental homes. They're automatically going to be actual cash value. Secondary rental will always be ACV. If it's primary home, if it's over $250,000, it's replacement cost. If it's below $250,000, it has to be within 80% of ITV, or TI, total insured value. And if it's below that 80%, if it's under $250,000, then it would be ACV as well.
Thank you. Any other questions before we move on? All right, I think we're good, Will.
All right, perfect. So the next section I'll bring you into is our policy management system. So all you'd have to do, this button is going to be at the top of every page. You click policy management. It brings you over here where you can access our policy administration system. So it will bring you in here where you can search a policy after you bind it by last name or policy number. So this is only one way of getting there. And we'll go to another, a shortcut of how to get there in just a second. We also have the agent dashboard. This will show you how many policies you have in force, month to date, memos pending, anything pending cancellation, things like that. All this information is right here. You're going to have to enter this information in, and so if you had any, let's say you had anything pending cancellation, you could click on the number, they're hyperlinks, and you could go and click into the policy and service it for what's needed. So I would recommend your CSRs to pay attention to this page, just to see, you know, your policy counts, if there's any memos or anything pending cancellation, because they can all be accessed here. So for example, if I was to switch to, you know, a different agent, you'd be able to see all that information. Now I'm going to go to, you also have agent statements. That's where you could access your commission statements. And then also I'm going to go back here, back to our main page. Now on our home page, there are a few things we have here. This is going to be our main Neptune dashboard where you start a quote. You see we're in a moratorium here in Florida. So if there are moratoriums, they will pop up right here. Now, quote and policy number. You could search your quote or policy number. So let's say you've done a quote previously. Type out the first few letters and it'll pop up just like it is below. You look at just your recent history of quotes you've done if you wanted to, or both policies and quotes. When I click quote, it's going to move over and you can show that you can either view or edit the quote or find other quotes you've done with this address. So you have all those options. Now when you choose policy, there's going to be 3 buttons. So earlier we were in the policy administration system, but now if I click this action button, it says go to policy. So we could go directly into the policy, just like so. So I'll bring you right there now. I'll just click on go to policy and it shoots us back into the policy admin system directly into the policy we just looked at. So now you'll have your coverage breakdown, billing information, shows if your payment's been received or not. Outbound documents, you have reminder notice number 1, which is your invoice, which will generate right after binding, as well as your new business deck page and new business application. So these are all going to generate as soon as you bind the policy. You also have your e-delivery packet, so if you choose yes, the full policy jacket will generate here. You'll be able to pull that and I'll have all the required documents needed for the mortgage lender, and you can send that out to them if you choose e-delivery. If you choose mail delivery, you would have to, it would just be mailed out to the insured and you wouldn't have access to it. You wouldn't have access here. I can provide you guys with a stock policy jacket if needed, but I would recommend electronically just so you have access to it after the policy binds. Again, this will generate typically within a few hours after binding. Signed documents, so it shows if it's pending insured, so the insured still needs to complete their side of the application. It'll show that under signed documents. And then down here at the bottom, you'll have options for monitoring endorsements. So let's say you wanted to increase coverage or change coverage, you can do that with this button here. Payments, you can make a payment with this button here. So just entering in the ACH or credit card information here. It would show you how much your credit card fee would be if you chose this button. And then non-dollar endorsements. So if you were to add a mortgagee lien holder or edit a mortgagee, add an email, add a co-applicant, you can change a mailing address or a phone number. You can do that all with this non-dollar endorsement button. Cancel rewrite. So let's say you had a home closing, but the effective date changed after you bound the policy. If you cancel rewrite, just by simply clicking this button, it'll change the effective date for what the policy is needed. Document upload, so you can upload documents just like you can upload trailing docs, things like that. You can upload a closing statement if you had coverage less than 10 days or same day coverage, or an elevation certificate if you use one of those, or if you printed out the application and then should sign it, you can use this document upload button to upload that as well. You have this live chat to speak with one of our customer service reps, and that's at the bottom of every page. So that's it for the quoting portal. Now, does anyone have any questions on anything related to Neptune?
No questions as of now, Will. Let's give everyone about 30 seconds or so to submit them.
Sure thing.
All right, so Julie has a question. She's following up on the question she asked earlier. There's a good chance I misinterpreted it, so I'm going to read that again for you. What she meant was, if a home has a replacement cost of more than $2 million, is it still eligible, or is it for dwellings $2 million and less? For example, if a home has a replacement cost of $3 million and you offer up to $2 million, will you still write the policy?
We could write it up to $2 million. We can't write anything above $2 million. That $2 million would be replacement cost, though.
Okay. All
right. So our limit
is
$2 million.
Perfect. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, I think we're set. Anything else, Will?
No, that's about it. Well, I appreciate everyone being on the line today. If you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out. We're looking forward to working with Orchid agents, and welcome to Team Neptune. You guys have a nice weekend.
Thank you too. You too, Will. We're looking forward to it. Thank you, everyone, for being on the webinar today. We will send out some follow-up information in the next day or two, just so you have the information on hand. So appreciate your time, and everyone enjoy the rest of your week.
Thanks, guys. Take care.